Deader Than Dead. Matthias Jones series by R.P. Fitton. Copyright 2016 by the Robert P. Fitton Revocable Trust. Chapter 1. Being alone is a prerequisite for murder. Hamilton dried his hair and wrapped his towel around his shoulders as he walked along the pool. With nighttime falling, he was slightly concerned about being alone on the estate. Hollings had left over an hour ago for the home of his old friend J. Patrick Wells in Newtown. Only Wells had that 25-year-old bottle of wine with a $28,000 price tag that would surely impress his guests tomorrow night. Somebody ran across the grass near the edge of the property.
"Who's out there?"
As he prepared for his evening swim, and the pool began to glow within the evening shadows, Hamilton sensed an unaccustomed uneasiness. He picked up his private cell phone off the veranda table, but opted to use the landline before his swim.
Matthias Jones.
"Yes, Matthias, this is Hamilton Fletcher."
He heard the sound of cheerleaders and a band playing in the background. Jones spoke over the ruckus.
Good evening, Hamilton. I was hoping you'd call so we could finalize the time for our chat tonight.
Sounds as though the rally is rocking the campus tonight.
Beginning as we speak.
Well, I won't hold you up. Be here at 8:15 sharp. And make sure you have all your specifications and needs for the new field house. Anything to be included in the plans should be put forth immediately, since I have an investor meeting tomorrow night.
And once again, Hamilton, thank you for your support behind the athletic program.
My pleasure, Matthias, and I must be frank with you. Feels darn good to have a winning team for once.
Well, Lark is about to speak to the rally.
I rest my case. See you soon. Goodbye.
He thought for a second about the massive new field house and how he never would have built it if he hadn't brought in Matthias Jones as coach. Jones, he was convinced, would always have winning seasons and brought out the best in his players in all three sports: football, basketball, and baseball. He threw his towel to the side as his landline phone sounded, and he quickly picked it up.
Hello, Dad. This is Ham. I'm heading to the plant.
Ham, you don't need to be working after your trip.
No, I was alerted by the alarm company when I got off the plane.
What happened?
Well, the police are on the scene now.
Will you tell them that vandals will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law?
I'll call you when I get back as soon as I have some information.
Very good. If I don't hear from you shortly, I'll send Pachico over there from the Prince William station.
Oh, you'll hear from me.
Very good. I'm taking my evening swim now.
Just as he hung up the phone, he heard something over by the trash barrels and sprang to his feet. And then he yelled out,
"If you bastards are here to get me, then come over here by the pool and face me."
At that moment, a fox jutted into the woods.
"Oh, for Pete's sakes,"
he said as he dove into the heated pool. As he began his laps up and down the pool, he was tempted to call the Prince William police himself. He was insistent that Ham, as president of the company, handle the break-in. As he swam, he pondered the price on the new field house. It was imperative that they raise more money, and he would insist that tomorrow when the investors gathered at his estate. 10 minutes later, he emerged out of the water. He climbed the ladder and steadied himself on the grainy tiles. The evening breeze cooled his chest and shoulders. He draped the towel over his shoulders and poured himself a glass of Chivas Regal. He dropped several ice cubes into the liquor. The landline sounded as he stretched out his legs on the lounger.
"Hamilton Fletcher."
Dad, it's Ham. False alarm.
That alarm company should damn well get its act together. We don't have to use them, Ham.
I just got through telling Malcolm Hayes the same thing. And I'll give you the good news I gave him when I got off the plane. The sales figures out of Ohio have been revised upward.
Well, fantastic.
The actual sales increase is 26%.
I like that.
I talked that guy Dolby into staying with us. Now, what's going on with that investor meeting tomorrow about the new field house? Malcolm said something about a bottle of wine.
That's why I'm here by my lonesome, Ham. We sent Hollings down to Pat Wells in Newtown to retrieve that $28,000 bottle of wine.
28,000? I'm almost afraid to drink the wine. Each gulp is worth about $100.
Hamilton laughed.
"You've got the sales increase. You're entitled to a few gulps."
So, mere
Yes, he will.
And what about Coco?
Without Coco, there'd be no Matthias Jones, no Fieldhouse, and Lark Larson would be losing every other game.
I'm aware of that, Dad.
Of course, Malcolm will make sense of the entire operation, and we have additional investors.
People local?
Not exactly. We're bringing in the big guns, Ham. Moretti and his finance people.
Well, that is quite a coup, Dad.
You can think all you want about Coco Stefani, but he always delivers.
Again, Hamilton heard something in the back of the house.
What in the hell is going on up here? All evening long I've been hearing things.
Dad, at least the maid should have been up there if Hollings had to go out. I don't like the fact that you're up there alone.
Well, I'm not exactly thrilled about it, Ham. I think I'll go inside and take a nice warm bath before I get back to work. I have to work on those company reports online.
Well, I'm going to do a few things in the office since I'm here, but if you want me to come back, I will.
Oh, the hell you will. I'm not going to let a few creaks and mice scare me half to death.
Okay, Dad, I'll see you in a couple of hours.
26%. Great job, son.
Hamilton continued to dry his hair as he hung up the phone and walked along the grass to the atrium doors of his study. He always had that nervous aggravation every time he was consummating a big deal, and dealing with nefarious people like Moretti made him very jittery. Hamilton, refreshed and relaxed from his warm bath, wore tennis shorts and a polo shirt as he walked down the long hallway to his East Wing office. He finished his drink and set it on one of the bookcases inside the study. The answering machine light flashed. He pushed the button. A gruff voice he recognized as Thurman Childs echoed throughout his study.
I know what you did to me, and I know what you did to my family, and I won't forget it.
Well, you could just go to hell, Thurman.
Again, he thought he heard somebody outside. He rushed to the atrium doors and quickly pushed open both doors, only to see the walkway lights and the glowing pool a couple of 100 feet away. He took a deep breath and returned to the answering machine. Nigel Kent wanted him to call, and he speed-dialed Nigel's number at the college president's home.
Good evening, Nigel Kent's residence, said Mrs. Johnson as housekeeper.
Well, hello, Marjorie, my dear. This is Hamilton.
And how are you this fine summer's evening, Hamilton?
Oh, I'm fit as a fiddle, and that's about it.
Well, I'll fill in the blank. Would you like to speak to Nigel?
Yes, please.
Hamilton looked out the long picture window overlooking the lights of town below and the more distant lights of Prince William along the ocean.
Good evening, Hamilton. I was about to call you again. We have a problem, albeit minor, with the fieldhouse expenditures.
Minor? Nigel, we just started construction 10 days ago.
Apparently, there's been some discrepancies, and it involves Dewar's lumber. I haven't talked to Malcolm Hayes about this.
You know, Nigel, I never had any problems in the old days when we dealt with Jefferson's hardware. Will Jefferson gave us a fair price and things were delivered on time.
Yes, I know, Hamilton.
And with Dewar's, Frank Dewar's, his invoices were 100% perfect and cost efficient. And now we have his oddball son running the show over there, and he's trying to chisel money. I won't stand for it.
Well, I've requested a meeting with Arnie Dewars.
Oh, good luck in making that happen. There are a million lumber companies we can use, and with Frank gone, I don't care if we use Dewar's again.
I'll get on it right away, Hamilton.
Very well. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night, Nigel.
Hamilton carried his drink onto the terrace and panned the grounds. He hadn't heard any noises this time and pushed the speed dial for Coco Stefani on his white cell phone. The line rang as he headed toward the umbrella table and bar adjacent to the carriage house.
Yeah.
He set his drink on the table.
Coco, this is Hamilton Fletcher.
Ah, Mr. Fletcher, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm looking forward to your attendance at our investment meeting tomorrow.
You must be near the pool again because the signal is fading.
Yes, I am poolside at the bar, damn cell tower. I've got a good mind to build one myself and then rent it out. Call me back on the landline.
Okay.
Hamilton sipped his drink, looked around the pool, and then the landline rang.
How's that?
Yeah, much better.
As I was saying, I am looking forward to your attendance at our investment meeting tomorrow.
Yes, sir. I feel honored to be included in this particular project.
Don't feel honored, just come up with the dough.
He said, laughing as he walked along the pool. Coco chuckled.
You know I always do. And I've talked to
Excellent.
I thought you'd like it.
I will like it if we don't get consistently overcharged by Arnie Dewars and his 40 thieves.
What are you saying, Mr. Fletcher? That gumball Doers is trying to skim a little off the top?
Coco, he's overcharging us by at least 25 to 30%.
Yeah, little bug-eyed creep. I'll take care of it, sir. I'll talk to the greedy Mr. Dewars.
Thank you. I would appreciate that very much, Coco.
Very good. I'll see you at the meeting tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it.
Just as Hamilton ended the call, the landline rang again. He banged the white cell phone on the umbrella table and mixed himself another glass of Shivers and ice. The call went to the answering machine in the study. He smacked his lips to the liquor and started back into the house. The answering machine flashed red as he climbed the stair to the atrium doors. He marched across the soft rug to the machine under the window. Then he pushed the button.
Hamilton Fletcher, this is Bucky Driscoll. I just want to mention to you that you have failed several times to give me a raise. I'm on a budget. You know what I'm worth.
Yes, we all know what you're worth, you dummy. You're lucky you're even working at Hamilton College.
Hamilton banged the answering machine. He spoke to himself as he wandered over to the computer screen.
Driscoll is an idiot. I don't like being blackmailed into hiring somebody unless it pays off for me.
Deader Than Dead by R.P. Fitton. Chapter 2. Lark's rambling anecdotes grated on his nerves. Despite Lark's whimsical reminiscing, the early September evening charged Jones's spirit. He checked his watch and inched his way over to George Strickland and whispered into his friend's ear. He's been up there for 23 minutes. George, I can't keep Hamilton Fletcher waiting because of Lark's stroll down memory lane.
Well, I know the words to Sentimental Journey, Matthias.
If I had a buck for every time I've heard the story of Brownie Plimpton intercepting that pass in 1953.
Was it 53?
Yes. Hopefully he won't bring up the Snooky McKenzie story.
Well, amen to that.
Strickland smiled and nodded.
I see you finally got a haircut.
Well, I was told by Nigel, summer is over, Matthias. Your days as a beach bum are over. Oh, come on, Lark.
I think the Prouty game has you all upset.
Jones turned away from Lark. I don't think we can beat Prouty, George. Our line can't execute blocks, and we have no defensive secondary. Other than that, things are hunky-dory.
Well, you're not going to say that up there, are you?
Jones stared at him and raised his brows. The crowd cheered, and Strickland held Jones's shoulder.
Well, he's all done.
Truer words were never spoken, and who says prayers aren't answered? Jones checked his watch. Woozy quickly introduced Jones and patted him on the shoulder. As he strutted across the platform, the swell of applause shook the common. Lark, dressed in a white Letterman sweater, shook his hand and leaned over.
Good luck, old boy. Tell him to win this one for the Lark.
Right. Jones produced a fixed grin.
You know, I received a very important phone call this week.
Lark, they're waiting for me to speak.
From Snooky McKenzie.
What about him?
Why, he's going to fly in for one of our games this fall.
Well, that's just wonderful, Lark.
You know what he used to say when he won the big one?
No, Lark, I really don't know.
Up, up and away.
Didn't Superman used to say that? Asked Jones as he finally broke free of Lark. In the warm night air, he faced the crowd, thanked all the appropriate people, and raised his hand into the air. What do you say we win this one for the Lark? Lark looked out for approval, and after a fearful lull, the cheering began again. When they settled down, Jones went on with his locker room pep talk, modified for public consumption. He could sense he had the crowd with him. For 10 minutes, he ranted about his team, the town, and the Fletchers. My boys are ready for this game. I tell you, it won't be an easy game, but these boys know how to hit and how to hit hard. They've demonstrated that in the preseason and all week. And we are going to hit Prouty hard. That brought the crowd to a frenzy. As he looked over the common past his own white colonial with the white picket fence, he knew how much he loved living in this little New England town. This town has pride, and my boys have pride. Tomorrow we face a very good Prouty team, I won't deny that. But these boys share the long history of Hamilton College. With that history and pride, we will demolish Prouty tomorrow. He raised his voice and finished his talk, wondering if Prouty would be the one diminishing his own team. The crowd kept cheering as he left the platform. Tom McGill walked with his petite wife Susan. McGill moved his gray mustache around in a circle. What was that? Demolish? The quote is correct, and I expect good coverage of the game tomorrow, Tommy. But be kind. Well, that depends. On what? On inside information. You're going to meet Hamilton Fletcher tonight. How did you know that? Asked Jones. Well, I have my sources. As he spoke, Bucky Driscoll's brown security car moved up the sidewalk. Bucky's elbow stuck out the driver's window. Hey, coming through! Then he beeped his horn loudly and incessantly. Jones moved in front of the tiny car. What are you, crazy, Bucky? There are students out here. Get off the sidewalk. I may not be around here much longer. Two prayers answered in one night, said Jones, moving around to the driver's side. I'm going out on strike. Why are you going out on strike? The car began moving backward as Bucky talked. I'm holding out for the big bucks. Yeah, you do that, Bucky, said Jones, turning to McGill. Hopefully they'll send him back to the planet where he came from. Planet of the Apes. Jones laughed. A loud crash to the rear caused him to turn. Bucky had backed into the athletic field's fence. Seconds later, the sprinklers spun water over the crowd. Bucky slipped on the grass as he attempted to shut off the sprinklers. Strickland ran by Jones. Now what has he done? Need my help, George? No, I can shoot him myself. Why did he go in reverse? Asked McGill. I've learned to stop questioning anything Bucky does. Jones moved with McGill down Hamilton Street toward his Jeep. I should make it to Fletcher Hill right on time. He looked over his shoulder toward the chaos. Don't worry, we'll handle it, Matthias. Hamilton hates people being late. Do me a favor. Sure. McGill leaned closer. I want to look into this problem up there on Fletcher Hill. Thurman Charles keeps telling me Hamilton Fletcher swindled him out of land. Thurman took the law into his own hands, said Susan. McGill raised his bushy gray brows. Burning the edge of the Fletcher property wasn't the smartest thing Thurman could have done. Jones nodded. Wow, Hamilton Fletcher used his high-powered lawyer to take a good chunk of the child's land. Then old man Charles had a heart attack and Thurman snapped when he died. Well, maybe not tonight, but I will talk about it when the situation is right. Well, good luck tomorrow, Matthias. Thanks, I'll talk to you two later. Jones started the Jeep. In the rear mirror, red and blue lights appeared in the darkness up toward town. He swung behind the school. The lot had already been cleared and some of the concrete had been poured for the field house. They would move all the basketball games inside that field house. He had more plans to get the women's sport program going, something the Fletchers had always squelched. Deader Than Dead by R.P. Fitton, Chapter 3. The Jeep headlights highlighted the shadowy rhododendron and Japanese shrubs as Jones navigated up the steep, narrow Fletcher Hill Road. With all the Fletcher money, he never understood why they did not illuminate the roadway to the estate. Lamp poles glowed in the distance atop the wide, long expanse ahead, as if a night game were underway. Jones shifted the Jeep into second gear and circled the concrete drive and fountain. Except for the window lights to the left, most of the brick mansion's windows were shrouded in darkness. He shut off the Jeep and stepped onto the drive. A white Cadillac SUV, one of the Fletcher SUVs, moved up Fletcher Hill toward the mansion. Jones waited for half a minute as Hollings slowed near the Jeep. The passenger side window went down electronically. Well, hello, Matthias. Out for a night in the town, Hollings? Hollings produced an almost shy smile. Actually, Mr. Fletcher had me traveling to Newtown to retrieve a rare bottle of wine. Jones leaned in the window. I must say that's awful nice of Mr. Fletcher to order real wine for my meeting tonight. Hollings grinned. Actually, there's an investor meeting tomorrow for the new field house. Yes, I understand. I do believe everything's in place for a swift construction completion of the field house. Jones leaned back. Hallelujah! Do you want to park the car in the garage, Hollings? Let me get you settled with Mr. Fletcher first and move the wine into the cellar. He stepped from the car and retrieved the new wood crate from the rear of the vehicle. That wine has its own shipping crate? Asked Jones. How much is it worth? $28,500. Well, we'll need investors just for that wine, said Jones as they walked toward the towering front doors. I dare say you're correct, Matthias. He looked to his left. I know that Mr. Fletcher was working late on the company reports in his study. Well, he probably wanted to go over a few things about the field house before the meeting tomorrow. Hollings electronically unlocked the front doors and motioned Jones inside. Indirect soft lighting bordered the upper pediments, highlighting the Italian marble foyer. They walked into the larger wood-paneled drawing room and then into the hallway connecting to Hamilton Fletcher's study at the end. I will show you to Mr. Fletcher and then I will detour to the wine cellar. Thanks. The antique paintings along the hallway indicated the extent of the Fletcher wealth. A triangular light spread across the hall tiles from Hamilton Fletcher's study ahead. Jones rounded the corner with Hollings through the study's open atrium door. Hamilton Fletcher, face down in front of the darkened computer monitor, did not move. "Oh, dear God, Mr. Fletcher," said Hollings as he set the wine on one of the side tables. "He had a heart attack." Jones ran forward, passing Hollings, and abruptly stopped behind the Fletcher patriarch. Crusted blood trailed from his silky white hair down his neck and flared onto his white polo shirt. Jones immediately focused on a neat round skull wound within the mass of hair. "Worse than that, Hollings. He's been shot." Jones ripped out his cell phone. He pushed his pre-programmed button for George Strickland. The line rang and went into the police chief's voicemail. Jones immediately dialed the police station as Hollings remained catatonic above Hamilton Fletcher's body.
Hamilton, this is Ned.
"Ned, I need to speak to George right away. His cell phone is going into voicemail."
No can do. Bucky Driscoll has created a disaster up there on the practice field. All the fire companies are up there and the pipes have let go.
"Ned, this is an emergency."
Matthias, you didn't hear me. All the pipes have burst up there.
"Ned, get George on the radio right away.
He told me not to disturb him.
There's been a murder, and I need to speak to George.
How do you think he's going to arrest Bucky?
Just get George on the radio." In the background, Ned spoke clearly as he called Strickland on the radio.
George. Hello, George.
People yelled and a few sirens wailed as Bucky Driscoll argued with several of the townspeople.
Yeah, well, put him up. I didn't know. I couldn't see those things. How am I supposed to know there's a stupid bunch of sprinklers on?
Arnie Dewars' voice could be heard defending Bucky.
Why don't you people back off? Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Strickland's name lit up on Jones's cell phone.
Matthias, who's been murdered?
"George, I would keep this very hush. Somebody put a bullet in Hamilton Fletcher's head. He sprawled in front of his computer screen, deader than dead." For a few seconds, Strickland said nothing. "George, are you there?"
Are you sure he's dead?
Jones again looked at the puncture wound in Hamilton Fletcher's skull. "He's dead, George." Strickland's voice shook as he must have been running. The confusion back at the field, along with Bucky Driscoll's blather, quickly faded away. He could hear Strickland call Wendell and his other man Tully on the radio.
Matthias, who was up there?
"There was no one up here, George. Only Hamilton. Hollings had gone out, and I met him as he came back to the estate. Isn't that correct, Hollings?" Hollings snapped out of his dumbfounded state and nodded at Jones. "Yes, he was home alone,"
I heard him.
said Strickland.
Make sure nobody gets near the study or the body.
"I understand, George," he said, staring at Hamilton.
Including you.
"Come on, George."
Wendell and Tully will be up there shortly. I'm calling Don Pacheco and Kevin Phillips as well as Clayton Morris. There's going to be all kinds of speculation. You need to call Ham. Where is he?
"I have no idea," said Jones, gawking at the old man.
I'm on my way.
Jones found the computer's darkened screen odd since Hamilton had been working on company reports, according to Hollings. He walked around the side of the desk. Hamilton Fletcher's chin and fists lay on the keyboard. "Where's Ham, Hollings?" "He's flying in tonight from a trip to Ohio. I'm not quite sure where he is now." Jones scrolled down his contacts on the phone. He was reluctant to make the call. He closed his eyes and pushed the speed dial. The call immediately went into Ham's voicemail. Jones spoke in a clear but sober voice. "Ham, you need to call me right away. There's been an incident at the estate involving your father." He left the message but continued staring at the darkened computer screen. The yellow power cord from the power surge box had been disconnected from the wall socket. Someone had yanked the power from the machine. Jones shook his head. What had been displayed on that screen? Strickland held his phone in the hallway. "A team from Prince William will be here in a few minutes." Ham sat on the long sofa in the hallway. "My father didn't deserve this." "Ham, where were you tonight?" asked Strickland. Ham stared at his father through the open doors as he spoke. I was just returning from a business trip. I had to check out a problem with the alarm at our plant in Prince William. The alarm, false alarm. He put his head in his hands. Can I get you anything, Ham? Asked Jones. Ham shook his head. Jones again traced the power cord from the computer across the rug to the power surge box. Why was that plug pulled out of the wall?
When's the last time you called your father?
Asked Strickland. 7:48 on my car digital. He kept his head buried in his hands. Then he looked up. It's my fault. Dad said he kept hearing noises on the estate.
Really?
Asked Strickland. Jones remembered what McGill had asked him about Thurman Childs. Any mention of Thurman Childs? No, answered Ham. Holling shook his head.
I read McGill's article about Thurman. Lots of tension between them,
said Strickland, holding his radio.
Wendell.
Yo!
Where are you?
We're sealing off the grounds, George.
You need to find Thurman Childs when you're done out there. Who else was here today?
Asked Strickland.
Well, I saw Alex Harmon earlier.
Who's Alex Harmon? Asked Jones. Harmon was a part of the groundskeeping crew. My father fired him last week, said Ham. He had a drug problem. You don't suppose... What was he doing in the area tonight? Asked Jones.
Route 7. I drove onto Route 7 and saw him on my way to Mr. Patrick's home. I saw Harmon riding his motorcycle. He was moving down the dirt road next to the stables.
But not around the estate.
No, that's the last I saw of him. I headed to town and then to Newtown.
Ham closed his eyes again.
Wendell.
Yo, said Wendell, peering around the corner at the foyer.
Get on the horn to PWPD. We're looking for a guy named Alex Harmon. See if he has a record and bring him in for questioning. Drives a motorcycle.
Yo, you can talk to my controller, Malcolm Hayes, and he'll get you the particulars on Harmon, said Ham. George, I'd like to know about that computer. Strickland creased his brow.
Not now, Matthias. Who else was here tonight?
My sister Anna was supposed to arrive here tonight from California, said Ham.
Well, where is she now?
Asked Strickland. Probably in the carriage house next to the pool. I talked to her on my cell. She heard nothing up here. She was in the swimming pool when Dad was murdered. I can't believe this is happening. I asked her to come up to the main house. She and I don't get along, Matthias. Jones looked through the rear atrium doors and then down the long side windows, both points of entry. The pool glowed in the darkness. He had heard Ham had a sister on the West Coast, but he had never met her. Out front, 3 Prince William cruisers and an unmarked patrol car pulled up behind the Jeep. Strickland looked outside and then spoke with a gentle voice to Ham.
Ham, let's get you to another area of the estate, perhaps the carriage house. You can talk to your sister while we get work done in here.
Hollings, if you would accompany Ham. Yes, sir. I don't understand why Anna isn't up here now. Ham nodded and stood. He moved with Hollings down the hall toward the foyer. Jones kept looking back at the dark computer screen. What was Hamilton up to when he was murdered? Thank you for listening to Deader Than Dead, Matthias Jones series by R.P. Fitton. Copyright 2016 by the Robert P. Fitton Revocable Trust.